Okay, good morning, everyone. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Calling the roll for the Monday, July 17, 2023 Board of Control meeting. It is 11:02 a.m. We have Levine Ross serving as an alternate for Meredith Turner. James Boyle serving as an alternate for Dale Miller. Present. Trevor Meckler serving as an alternate for Purnell Jones Jr.
Here.
Melanie Say serving as an alternate for Mike Dever.
Here.
Catherine Gallagher serving as an alternate for Chris Renee, County Executive.
Here.
Mike Chambers, Fiscal Officer, serving as Chairman.
Here.
Paul Porter.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Next on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from July 10th. I will make a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. McAleer. All in favor to approve, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The minutes are approved. Is there any public comment?
No public comment.
Let's move on to our first item.
First item, BC 2023-442, Department of Public Works, recommending an award and enter into a contract with Reed Pro Lawn Care in the amount not to exceed $40,000 for organic lawn care and weed control services for the period August 16, 2023 through December 31st, 2024.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Tom Pavich, Public Works. This is the awarding of a contract to Weed Pro. It's for the county's lawn services at various county buildings. We bid this competitively as an informal bid. It's for not to exceed $40,000. It'll take us from August 15th, which is the date our current contract ends with Weed Pro, and through the end of next year. We're trying to make this a calendar year contract going forward. The intent is to service, I think, 11 facility buildings, and I think 23 pump stations in the communities.
Thank you, Mr. Pavich. Are there any questions from the board? Seeing none, I will make the motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is
Thank you.
approved. Next item?
Next item, BC 2023-443, Department of Development submitting an RFP exemption which will result in a payment to Greater Cleveland Partnership in the amount of $25,000 for communications, outreach, and operational support of the Greater Cleveland Civic Connection Program for the period July 17, 2023 through December 31st, 2023, and submitting a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Hi, yeah, Brian Edwards here from Department of Development. We have our guest, David Ebersol from Greater Cleveland Partnership, also to come up afterward. The operating support for the Civic Connection program will help continue the mutual collaboration of the Infrastructure Investment Act and the Inflation Reduction Act, and how we can bring those resources to the greater Cuyahoga, Cleveland area. 2022 and 2023 were successful in leveraging those resources for nearly $30 million in grant awards in between the port, RTA getting the new cars, and a few other subjects. But I just wanted to invite David up here to address any further successes and any questions that the Board of Control may have.
Okay.
Right, yeah, thanks everybody. This is a continuation of our efforts at GCP to work with all of our civic partners, the City of Cleveland, Cuyahoga County, a number of our authorities and agencies to really just try to all collaborate, make sure we're on the same mission. And right now, with all the money coming out of Washington, that's really important to try to bring as much of that to this part of the country as we can.
Very good.
And
Thank
what
you.
is your name?
My name is David Ebersol. Yep.
Are there questions from the board? Mr. Boyle, please.
What is the, and I apologize, I know we've been doing this for a while, but what, give me a brief primer on what is the Greater Cleveland?
Sure. It's a convening led by us at Greater Cleveland Partnership, includes the City of Cleveland, Cuyahoga County, the RTA, the Port Authority, the Sewer District, Team NEO, and it's just an effort for us to convene, get together, talk through our shared interests and shared concerns, supported by staff such as myself, to help align our efforts where we're collaborating to make sure that we're, again, particularly in this time of year, right now we're focused on federal grants, but there are other issues that come up. I mean, we met last week, we talked about the demand for large-scale development sites. So it's really just, that's really the effort and the purpose behind it.
Do the other partners, they also contribute in a proportional share?
Yes.
And this has been going on for a very long time.
Decades, yes.
Yeah. We used to be a lot more that we did contribute it way back when. So, any additional questions? Seeing none, I will make the motion to approve the item. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Macular. All in favor to approve, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item.
Next item, BC 2023-444, Department of Information Technology, on behalf of the Common Police Court Juvenile Court Division, submitting an RFP exemption which will result in an award recommendation to MNJ Technologies Direct Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $14,964.56 for a state contract purchase of 8 HP ZBook Firefly mobile workstations, each to include HP CareBack extended hardware support and a 5-year HP Absolute Data and Device Security Premium subscription license, and submitting a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Board. Dennis Sullivan, Department of IT. This first request is for juvenile court. These 8 laptops are IT standards. They're being purchased via state term contract.
Okay, Dennis, thank you. Are there questions from the board? Seeing none, I will make the motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Paul Porter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item?
Next item, BC 2023-445, Department of Information Technology, on behalf of the Sheriff's Department, submitting an RFP exemption which will result in an award recommendation to MNJ Technologies Direct Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $8,190 for a state contract purchase of 6 HP Z29 G9 workstations, each to include 5-year HP CarePack extended hardware support, a 5-year HP Absolute Data and Device Security Premium subscription license, and monitors, and submitting a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Again, Board, Dennis Sullivan, Department of IT. These 6 desktops are being used over at the Sheriff's Department. They are IT standards, and they also are being bought via state term schedule.
Okay, thank you. Are there questions from the board? Seeing none, I will make the motion to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Levine Ross. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved.
Thank
Next item.
Next item, BC 2023-446, County Prosecutor submitting an RFP exemption which will result in award recommendation to Calio 2009 Corporation in the amount not to exceed $6,324 for the purchase of 12 Calio standard and 1 floating product licenses for the period September 1st, 2023 through August 31st, 2024 for use by the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, and submitting a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Good morning, Dave Fratteri, County Prosecutor, Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. We've been using Callio for several years now. It basically creates fictitious telephone numbers to allow our investigators to conduct undercover investigations with potential child exploitation offenders on the internet. And this is simply a renewal of that product.
Okay, Dave, thank you. Mr. Boyle, please.
What's a floating, you got the standard license and then something called a floating 12-month license. What is that?
There are 12 lines or licenses, if you will, that are assigned to investigators. There's then one line that is kind of floating that if someone needs another one.
Are there additional questions? No? Seeing none, I will make the motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Boyle. All in favor to say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved.
Thank you.
Next item.
Next item, BC 2023-447, Sheriff's Department recommending a payment to the City of Cleveland for past due invoices for use of the City of Cleveland's 800 megahertz P25 digital trunked radio system for the period January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2022, and the amount not to exceed $36,420.
Chris Costin, Sheriff's Department. We're requesting approval for make a payment to the City of Cleveland to be part of their Cleveland radio networks, our Sheriff's Department be on their network. I do have Sergeant Devlin here for any questions.
Board members, do we have any questions for the sergeant? Seeing none, I will make the motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Paul Porter. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Item is approved. Next item.
Next, item BC 2023-448, Sheriff's Department submitting an RFP exemption which will result in a payment to Lake County Sheriff's Office in the amount of $3,720 for prisoner board and care services for the period May 1st, 2023 through May 31st, 2023, and submitting a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Chris Costin, Sheriff's Department, requesting for a one-time payment to Lake County Sheriff's Office that held one of our inmates for a few months.
Thank you, Chris. Are there questions? Mr. Boyle, please.
What's the daily rate?
Well, I have Chief Soltis here to answer that. Normal daily rate's $125, but for a few months, they did not charge us. It was, how did you say it?
10 months, so it's courtesy hold from Lake County for 10 months, and then they changed the policy without notification, and then 2.5 months.
Is there a threshold population number from the county side that triggers this?
It's based on our capacity, our operational capacity. Our rated capacity is a certain number. Operational is about 85% of that number. And it's based on our population of misdemeanors and those that are being willing to house outside.
So what's the capacity?
1888.
And then, so 1888, and then what is the 85,
I don't have that math yet. 85% of that was roughly 1,600 and something.
So I think we did, last week we did the numbers and it was 1,653.
Okay.
So, I mean, are we approaching that number where we're gonna pawn off some of the inmates?
We're constantly utilize that because of the operational policies of the jail.
All right, and then moving forward, they're gonna charge us 125.
Oh, we're not going to utilize Lake County. That was a courtesy hold from the previous administration, and currently we're utilizing Geauga County. Once I found out, I took over control of the jail June 1st. June 6th, I discovered that we were housing someone at Lake, and I immediately ordered him back to our facility because I had just presented before you the Geauga County contract. So brought him back, and then the courts requested us to, again, house him outside of our facility.
Are there any additional questions? Seeing none, I will make the motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Paul Porter. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Thank you. Next item.
Next, item BC 2023-449, Sheriff's Department submitting an RFP exemption which will result in award recommendation to Chagrin Valley Dispatch Council and the amount not to exceed $24,000 for Motorola Computer Automated Dispatch CAD software and support services effective upon signatures of all parties for a period of 18 months and submitting a contract with said RFP exemption.
Chris Costin, Sheriff's Department. What this is going to be a contract with Chagrin Valley for our, we currently have a dispatch service, so this is a record maintenance software that we're going to be with Chagrin Valley.
Okay, Chris, thank you. Questions from the board? Seeing none, I will make the motion. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Melanie Say. All in favor to approve, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next, item BC 2023-450, Department of Health and Human Services and Department of Development submitting an RFP exemption which will result in an award recommendation to Barron Bus Incorporated in the amount not to exceed $17,100 for reimbursement of employee wage and training expenses in connection with the Learn and Earn program for 3 employees for the period July 24, 2023 through September 28, 2023, and submitting a purchase order with said RFP exemption.
Laura Sims for the Department of Development, and this is for our Skill Up program, and it is for Barron's Bus, and it's to have we've got 3 trainees that will become CDL certified to drive buses.
Okay, Laura, thank you. Mr. Mackler, please.
Hi, Laura. Good morning. When did we start calling it the Learn and Earn program, just out of curiosity?
So it's always been called that, sort of, and then we kind of had so there's sort of a difference of terminology between what HHS calls it and what we call it. So for HHS, that's what it originally was called, is the Earn and Learn, and then we became Skill Up and Skill Up 2.0, so they're both the same thing.
And then how many employees were trained here? 3? And do you have the hourly rate before and after?
Yes, it was $12 before and it'll be $17.50 after.
And is it located in Cuyahoga County?
It is in Cleveland.
And the training, is this one of the first ones where the training has not taken place yet until approval?
Correct.
Okay.
Are there additional questions from the board? Mr. Boyle, please.
I mean, moving forward, why don't we just pick one? I mean, go with whatever, I mean.
Yep, no, that's fine. We will, we'll work with them to make sure that we get the names.
Or were they Baron Bus employees before? What were, I guess, what were they doing? If they were an employee before with Baron Bus, what were they doing if they weren't able to drive the buses?
So they're trainees, and they, just like with any other thing, you're going to come in as a trainee, you have to take the courses to be able to get certified and then go forward. So before you're certified, you get paid the one rate, and then after you get certified, then you get upgraded. But they were hired specifically for that position. It wasn't like they were
Doing something
doing
else?
something else, no. But that's the training rate, and then, again, once you're certified, the cert.
And I know I've talked to anybody that would listen about this, and that's where I struggle to some degree of using Health and Human Service levy dollars for a for-profit company that sole mission, I believe, as a company is to transport people on a bus. And they would have to train this employee anyway to be able to provide their service they're having, and we're using levy dollars for this. And I'm not seeing the connection, but
Can I ask real quick? So it says the Department of Health and Human Services and Department of Development. So is this company working to provide services for our Health and Human Services departments, or there's no connection?
No, so the money comes from Health and Human Services, so they put the procurement into the system, and then we handle the rest of it as part of the Skill Up program. Now, the program and how it was designed before I even started with development, and I know there have been discussions about that, what's happening with the levy dollars. So I do know that it is to keep those employees in Cuyahoga County and to make their having more of a living wage so that they would stay here, and to have, you know, more expertise in our workforce to stay in. And it also helps keep them from having to use some of the services that are provided by Health and Human Services, food stamps, that if they can have a wage that is living.
I appreciate that, Laura. I just, like, they would have trained, we're just covering the cost of these companies to train their employees to be able to provide the service that they make money off of. And that's where I'm struggling with the Health and Human Service levy dollars being the funding source. And I've talked to the director a ton of times, so I see it differently, but thank you.
Are there any final questions on the item? Seeing none, I will make the motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Boyle. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2023-451, Department of Health and Human Services, Division of Senior and Adult Services, submitting an amendment to a contract with Precision Mobile Laundry Service LLC for laundry services for the Cuyahoga Options for Independent Living Services Program clients for the period February 13, 2023 through December 31st, 2023, to change the scope of services by adding performance measures effective upon contract signature of all parties, and for additional funds in the amount not to exceed $10,000.
Good morning, Marcos Cortez with Health and Human Services on behalf of Senior and Adult Services. Again, this is a contract amendment for laundry services for our seniors. Typically, laundry tasks have been completed by home health aides during the time they are working in the client's home. However, COVID caused a shortage of personnel that provide home health and nursing assistance, and we still have not yet recovered from that. In addition, some clients are uncomfortable in allowing aides to work in their home and refuse help, yet still find it difficult to manage their day-to-day chores. The service is to provide needed laundry services to those persons who either feel uncomfortable with persons working inside their home or persons who have not yet been able to be assigned an aide. Specifically, this amendment is going to add another $10,000 and add some performance measures and clarify some of the scope of services.
Thank you, Marcos. Are there questions from the board?
Are we adding 10,000?
Yes.
What was the total contract amount?
It will be total 30,000, I believe it.
Wow, it seems low. I mean,
Well, this is a pilot, so we are actually seeing, it's being utilized obviously more than we realized it would be. That's why we're adding additional funds. However, it's also being rolled into the new options RFP, so it'll be one of the 8 different items that folks can bid on.
I would like my, it seems low, comment stricken from the record. Consistent with my prior.
Duly noted. Okay, my favorite word. Go ahead.
Marcos, I remember you came before us with this prior, maybe like a couple of months ago. What was the amount that you came forth with?
$20,000.
20, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Any final comments on the item? Seeing none, I will make the motion to approve. Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Levine Ross. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved.
Thank you.
Moving on to exemptions.
Exemptions, first item, BC 2023-452, Department of Public Works, recommending to amend Board of Control Approval Number BC 2022-735 dated November 29, 2022, which resulted in purchase orders to various factory authorized dealers and the amount not to exceed $475,000 for vehicle and equipment repairs, parts and services for the period November 29, 2022 through December 31st, 2024, to change the amount not to exceed to $1,475,000.
Good morning, Tom Pavich, Public Works. This item, we're looking to amend a previously approved alternative procurement that we have for our factory authorized. As you recall, we've had our factory authorized program that dates back many years for factory authorized dealer repairs. It could be for vehicles, building systems, HVAC, boilers. Primarily, it's been vehicles as of this year. We had the original factory authorized, this new factory authorized approved last November. We're low on funds. We've had an overabundance of vehicle repairs and building system repairs to date this year. So we're looking to keep the same end date, which is December 31st of next year, but add $1 million of allowable funds. This is not to be encumbered until the purchase order comes back to the board. On today's agenda, there's actually 2 factory authorized. This is as an example. One is with, I think, Nichols, they're a dealer for Tennant scrubbers, and then Bob Gillingham for Ford vehicles. So all the $1 million will still be accounted for as it comes back to the board as the awarded purchase order.
Thank you, Tom. Are there questions from the board? Seeing none, I will make the motion to approve. Is there a second? Second by Mr. McAleer. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is approved. Next item.
Next item, BC 2023-453, Department of Public Works, recommending an alternate procurement process which will result in purchase orders to various providers in the total amount not to exceed $400,000 for medical, surgical, and animal care services for the period July 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024.
Good morning, Tom Pavich, again, Public Works. This is a new alternative procurement for the county animal shelter. We've always had this program in place. This is for emergency and medical supplies. We're just we're not renewing it. This is a new alternative procurement. This will take it to June 30th of 25. We're adding additional $400,000, and just like the factory authorized, those purchase orders with the different vet clinics around Cuyahoga County, they'll come forward for approval as a purchase order.
Tom, you just said June 30th, 2025. Did you mean 2024?
I said June 30th of 25.
It's in the agenda until 24. Was it submitted?
Maybe, maybe it is 24. I have 25 written down. I just got back. I was out of town, so.
Let's just take a quick look. Oh, I see 25 back here in the, yeah.
backup does say 25.
Yeah, it's a typo. Okay, we'll amend. I will make a motion to approve the item as amended for 6/30/2025. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Paul Porter. All in favor to approve, say aye. Aye. Opposed? The item's approved as amended. Moving on.
Thank you.
Moving on to consent agenda items, BC 2023-454 through BC 2023-455.
Okay, board members, just a couple items. Let me know if you have any questions. Mr. Mackler, please.
On the one purchase order, there's the advanced question on the, what is Global Equipment Company, and Marcos wrote back regarding the new family resource room. I was just wondering if a little bit more information could be provided on what that room's gonna look like. Is it up and running yet? Or are we in the process of getting to it up and running?
Good morning, Marcos Cortez, Health and Human Services. Unfortunately, I did not put this procurement in. It was done by DCFS fiscal staff, so I have no idea of what's going on with that resource room.
Could you let either?
I will find out, though,
Please.
yes.
Thank you.
Are there any additional questions? Seeing none, I will make a motion to approve today's consent agenda items as listed. Is there a second? Second by Mr. Mackler. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Today's consent agenda items are approved. Moving on to other business.
No other business?
Is there any public comment?
No public comment?
I will make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Seconded by Miss Melanie Say. All in favor to adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all.